St. Louis Acura has an unbeatable selection of new cars, like the new TLX with $2,500 in loyalty conquest offers and 0.9% financing for up to 60 months. We have all new 22 MDXs with 1.9% financing for up to 60 months, or get a great deal on a new lease. You can get the 21 Acura ILX as low as $239 per month for 36 months, or the new 21 Acura RDX for as little as $399 per month for 36 months. St. Louis Acura, better than ever for you.
And welcome back into Weekend Joe, driven by Mungenast St. Louis Acura and Mungenast Alton Toyota here on ClaibsOnline.com. If you're watching the video version of this on YouTube, you just saw the Mungenast commercial as I sit here and you can see me doing the show from my car that I got from Mungenast Alton Toyota. But we continue on with our list of guests this weekend, and we welcome in from The Athletic. She writes about the Cardinals. She's Katie Woo. Katie, how are you?
I'm well, Joe. How are you?
I am good, and of course, people can see on the video too that you're in the press box at Busch Stadium. So I can be as loud as I want here in the car. I just hope the connection holds up to where you have people working diligently surrounding you before Thursday night's Cardinal game.
Yes, I actually feel so bad as I picked a small corner in the press box and it was pretty quiet for like 20 minutes. And as soon as we started recording, all of the Cubs reporters just sat down. So hopefully they enjoy my angelic voice for a little bit.
You've talked some Cubs this week. I saw you were on what? You were on Marquee earlier this week. So you go from being on the Cubs network and doing pregame shows on there to recording a podcast with me as I sit in my car. So it's really just the peaks and the valleys of broadcast journalism for you this week.
Very hardly.
How are you enjoying? So half a season into writing for the Cardinals, being here in St. Louis, how would you assess your first 3 months?
I don't know if it's felt more like 3 days or 3 years, but it has not felt like 3 months. It has been the most thrilling, exciting, crazy time of my life. And it's also been, a learning experience. And I think those kind of go hand in hand. But yeah, it seemed pretty crazy when the All-Star break came. I kind of looked around and I was like, July already. And then at the same time, I was like, how is it not September? So I think the main takeaway I get here is that time doesn't exist in baseball, right? It's just a myth. I never know what day it is. I never know what time it is. And I'm just going to show up and hope that I have the right schedule. But yeah, it's been great.
And not to mention all of the different rule changes that have just gone on throughout the year. I know we talked about this a few months ago, just having to introduce yourself to an organization via Zoom the way that you had to. What has that been like since all the restrictions have been lifted a bit and you're able to be on the field without a mask and talk to some of these players and coaches?
Yeah, so much better. I can only speak for myself and I can't speak for the players or other media members, but I personally feel like I benefited so much from being able to have conversations in person. And it certainly seems like the staff and the players and the coaches enjoy it too. Because with Zoom, I mean, obviously everyone's making the best out of a bad situation, but you lose so much of the intimacy and so much of the relationship building because it is over an online setting. And it's very hard to kind of capture that human element. And for the Cardinals players' case, they don't know me. They only know me as a face on a computer screen. They're like, and here's this reporter that doesn't know us really that well, and she has to write things that are, based on performance. And for a while, the Cardinals weren't performing up to their expectations. So that, I think, put everyone in a little bit of a tough situation. So being able to go down there and show up and be in the dugout now and talk to these guys and have conversations that aren't even going to ever make print, but just help establish that relationship and let them know who I am and I can kind of figure out who they are too. That has been so helpful. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we get more and more access back. But being able to be on the field, in the dugout, we did a pregame media scrum with Mike Schill in Chicago for the first time last week. That was my first one in 2 years. It was just, I felt like a real reporter, and it was really nice.
That's so. I was just at the All-Star game, 2 weeks ago, and just being there on the field and doing all of that, it's like, my God, like this, it feels like forever since you've been doing this. I completely
Absolutely.
understand where you're coming from. It's so you wrote about these players for all these months and not really knowing them. Are there any that have told you maybe they've read your stuff, or are there any that you've had conversations with that maybe have changed your perception of them?
I wouldn't say change my perception. I try not to judge them based on. I only write based on performance, right? If someone's in a bad mood and gives me a bad quote, that's okay. I'm never gonna reflect that in my writing. But getting to know who they are as people has helped me understand how they play, and I think that's helped me evaluate their skills a little bit better. How they go out and practice and prepare. Everyone's different in that regard. So being able to have these conversations and talk to them and see who they are as people and how their personality traits help them on the field, that has, I think, been the biggest takeaway. That's been the most important for me to be able to do my job correctly and to my best ability. But also, it's just nice, like on getaway days to hang out and just talk about life, talk about baseball, talk about family, and get to know each other a little bit more than just the reporter player relationship or the reporter coach relationship. There's 162 plus games, not counting spring training or the playoffs, that we see these guys every day and they see us. So being able to have a little bit of that relationship established again is so important.
I think one thing that a lot of Cardinal fans have noticed about you is the way that you have you kind of navigate around your social media and deal with some of the responses or some of the things that you get on a daily basis. What is that? I mean, having to introduce yourself to a new fan base, what has that been like this season, knowing how passionate Cardinal fans are?
Passion is a very great word for this fan base, and I will never complain about engagement or fans caring or fans being passionate about their team. I would much rather cover a team that has fans that care too much than fans that don't care at all. So while it was difficult, I think, and fans had the right to be rightfully skeptical about someone who has no St. Louis background, had not covered the major leagues in 3 years, taking in for a beat where they haven't had a writer on the Athletic for a while. I understood that. But for the most part, Cardinals fans have been super receptive. They have been engaging and funny, and some of them in their roasts of me are actually quite hilarious, and I can't even be mad at that. So, I try not to. Sometimes I just like to play around, and someone says something that's maybe not the most educated thing, or maybe I can try to enlighten them in a way. But for every negative comment that I receive, there are dozens more that are positive and uplifting and are engaging and intelligent. So I really try to focus on that. Social media is a very toxic place, but there are its benefits, and being able to connect with the fans and get to know a little bit about the fan base, and hopefully they get to know a little about who I am as a reporter, that's been really helpful too.
Who in your career has kind of helped you learn to deal with the way that fans can just, I mean, behind a dog avatar can just come and attack, or say things that they would never say to you if they saw you at the stadium?
Yeah, right. That's the thing is, everyone, and no matter what you do in this industry, you're open to some sort of criticism or skepticism from someone that would never have the nerve to say it in person. So, I am lucky to have a group of friends that are baseball beat writers in other markets, and we're all around the same age, and we're all around the same time in our career, and we all grew up in the social media era anyway. So being able to just rely and vent, and we send screenshots, and we just get our 30 seconds of venting out of the way, then we get on with our day, right? Because one thing that I've really learned in the first half of the season is it is not worth, and this is for anyone, no matter what you do or who you are, arguing on social media is such a waste of time. And it can really hamper your day and bring you down. And I'm so lucky to have this job that I do, where I'm at Busch Stadium for half the season and around the country for the other half, watching baseball, that I want to spend more time focusing on that. However, that does not mean that I will not come at you if you come at me in a weird way. So it's about finding balance, right?
That mute. You see, I am a big fan of the mute button over the block button. That mute button,
Yes, the mute
they just
button.
vanish. Yes, you just don't show them that they're blocked. Just hit that mute button, and you never have to deal with it again.
It gives me great joy to know that they are yelling and screaming, and they have no idea that I will never see it.
Exactly. So you mentioned all the people that have influenced you over the years. I know a huge thing that I saw you posting about quite a bit this week was the all women's broadcast, the
Mhm.
TV broadcast earlier this week, and seeing that baseball has grown to, I guess, embrace that the way that it has. What does that mean to you as a female reporter?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we hear it all the time. Representation matters. And to be able to have learned from so many women reporters before me that really established themselves as trailblazers in the beat writing market. And now to be sitting in the press box and, every now and then I'll look around and there is another woman in my age or in my age group that is going through the same thing, where we looked at the same people, idolized the same women, and are now hopefully continuing to in their paths, has been remarkable. So the all women's broadcast was tremendous. I have never met any of those women in person, personally, except for Alana Rizzo a couple times. But just the resumes speak for themselves. 5 fantastic, smart, intelligent reporters doing their job, and it makes me very happy to see that it was the first one. I highly doubt it will be the last, and it shouldn't be. My hope now is that while we have the first woman broadcast, we can now bring in women of different colors and different backgrounds and just different everything, and create a really diverse product. That's what makes baseball great. When you look on the field, like for the Cardinals, for example, it is really just a hodgepodge of nationalities and backgrounds, and that's what makes, I think, baseball is America's pastime, right? Is you have all these different people coming together from all these different places in the world. Our media market should reflect that as well. So for me, it was really cool to see the all women's broadcast, and I'm looking forward to see what people continue to do to make baseball more representative for everybody.
And you had, one of those that just reminded me last week or 2 weeks ago during the All-Star break when, who was it, Stephen A. Smith had those comments about Shohei Ohtani not being the face of baseball. It's very rare that you see everybody agree that it was a bad take. I don't think there was one person that stepped up and said, hey, you know what, he might have a point. I think it was universal that was one of the dumbest things that somebody could possibly say, and jumped on him about it. And it was nice to see everybody in agreement with something like that.
Yeah, I think we are hopefully trending towards a more accepting environment in baseball. And what Shohei Ohtani's been able to do has been incredible. He lights up the game. And I think for me, it's just really important that no matter what background you come from, that you feel like there's a place in the sport for you. For a while, as an Asian American young woman, I didn't feel like there was one for me. And when the Marlins hired Kim as their general manager, that completely changed my perspective. And I said, well, there is some representation. So again, it goes back to representation mattering. And hopefully, again, we'll continue to see that trend rise.
Absolutely. So if the Cardinals were to at some point bring in an all women's broadcast, what role do you want to have in that? Where are you play by play? Are you color? Which role are you taking on, Katie?
Are you kidding me? I swear way too much to do play by play. I get kicked off the broadcast in the second inning. I could do like a pre-game, post-game analysis show. I feel like I could do that. But I'll stick to writing. For sure.
Is there a stadium on the second half of the schedule for the Cardinals that you are looking forward to visiting for the first time?
I've never been to PNC Park, and I cannot wait. There's a lot of parks I haven't been to on the side of in the Midwest and the NL and AL Central, and August has a bunch of those road trips planned. So I'm super excited for that. But PNC Park is still the one. It's on my bucket list for forever. I cannot wait to go.
That's one that's still on mine as well. So absolutely, one of these days I want to head out there. So enjoy your trip out there, and keep doing a hell of a job on the writing for The Athletic.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.